This is Michael de Laine of the Copenhagen Voice in Gdansk. With me is Gladh of WWF in Sweden, which is an NGO working for a living world. But Lennart, is the Baltic Sea a good example of a living world?
Well, it's still standing, but it could be more lively, I would say.
How would you make it livelier?
There is a need for a lot of measures. First of all, to reduce the input of nutrients to the Baltic Sea. There is also to control fishery sector better and some other things as well. More protected areas, underwater protected areas.
What role does industry play, and what role does, for example, farming and fishery play in the poor condition?
The industry has done a lot. It's a technical thing. You have point sources, industry, wastewater treatment. You have a lot of money, a consultant, a construction company, and you fix the problem to make it short. Agriculture and transport system, for instance, it's much more diffuse and much more complicated. So it's the more we invest in point sources, the more important becomes the others.
So, what would you suggest that farming should do, or would you make it mandatory for farming to do things?
First of all, I think that as we are paying in fact twice for our food, both via taxes and when we buy it in the shop, there should be high demands when it comes to environment on farming. There should be a legal baseline for all farms, and then they could have supplementary payment for doing more things. That you couldn't do within the normal production system.
When you say legal baseline, what do you mean by that?
When it comes to pollution of water, for instance, that sooner or later will enter the Baltic Sea.
Okay. So basically you're saying farming should pay to clean itself up and to pay for what it pollutes?
Yeah, I think it's somehow strange that almost anything related to environment and farming should be voluntary or subsidized.
Okay, the EU budget and the Common Agricultural Policy, how much impact does that have on farming and then on the Baltic Sea?
It has a lot of impact because it's subsidized. In fact, a lot of the problems caused, and there is absolutely no cross compliance with other national or regional goals when it comes to farming. So you could get paid for do something that is totally opposite what the general goal is for the Baltic Sea, for instance.
So there should be greater coordination in the EU on environment and industry and agriculture?
Yeah, of course. You shouldn't pay for polluting, so to say.
Okay. So the same thing apply to individual countries? Should they have a combined ministry for, should we say, farming and environment and climate change?
That would be great, because in almost all countries, the Minister of Environment and the Minister of Agriculture, which also very often holds the fishery, has always communication problems.
WWF has issued some Baltic Sea scorecards.
Yeah.
What do you know about these?
Well, these scorecards we do annually just to highlight what is going on and to highlight what has been done, what is good and what is bad. And unfortunately, we have done it 3 years. There is not much progress.
Not much progress. And the Integrated Sea Use Management Scheme, which is part of a way to clean up the Baltic.
Yeah, exactly. We think we need to address all problems and really have an integrated approach when it comes to handling the sea. Otherwise, we will not succeed. And this year, that's what we checked. And the winner was Germany, but they shouldn't be too proud because they were absolutely not at the top grade. But
is this because not enough money is being devoted to it, or because there's not enough will?
I think we have a lot of money in this region. No region in the European Union has never had so much money as the Baltic region, much depending on the country we're standing in, because it's big, Poland. But it's not allocated for the right things. If we took some percentage of these billions and used it for the environment of the Baltic Sea, it would be a very good step ahead.
who should do the allocating? WWF in Sweden, or
No, I think there is a need to pressure from the region on EU. I think because that's where the money comes from.
Is responsibility a greater need for ownership of the Baltic Sea and its problems?
Yeah, yes, it is. I mean, the awareness differs among media, among public, among farmers, etc. Very much in different countries for obvious reason. So in Sweden and Finland it's very high, and then it goes down. And in Poland, if you're a farmer in southern Poland, of course you have almost never heard about the Baltic, maybe. So of course that differs. So. But that's why we think there is a need also for high political decisions on the Baltic to deal with all this sectorial interest and so on.
And we're talking both EU and national level?
Both EU and national level, yeah.
How would you change the EU's budget to, especially on agriculture, to help this situation?
I think that with or without the Baltic Sea, or with or without WWF, there will be a reduction of the agriculture part of the EU budget 2013, because it's now 43%, and I think everyone realized that's impossible. It reflects an old days system, and the risk is that everything disappears, and we want to keep something. I mean, we want to keep this approach, public money for public goods like environment, cultural heritage and so on.
But you feel optimistic, or neither nor?
I would say neither nor. I mean, I've been around for almost 20 years, and I see some steps ahead and I see some drawbacks. So I always say let's wait and see.
Okay, Lennart Gladh, WWF in Sweden, thank you much indeed. It won't stop.